Do you have a plan for your marriage? Well, if you're like most people, you don't. I'm Leslie Dories, your marriage coach and creator of the Hero Husband Project and owner of Foundations Coaching. And there's a famous saying that says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And with divorce rates just under 50%, I'd make a good argument that a lot of people fail to plan their marriages. Now, they spend a lot of time planning their wedding, which, by the way, is one day, unless in some cultures it's more than one day, but for most of us, it's one day. And all kinds of drama goes around about that one day, and my gosh, heaven help us if anything goes wrong. And I guarantee you, something will go wrong on your wedding day. But what's not thought about is, what do you want your marriage to look like? There isn't any other aspect of life that we give so little planning to. If you open up a business then and want to go to the bank and get a loan, you actually have to have a business plan. You actually have to show the bank how you're going to make the money to repay them. And even if you don't get a loan from the bank, if you want to make a certain amount of money, then you have to figure out how you're going to do that. You have to figure out what you're going to sell. You have to figure out who you're going to sell it to. You're going to have to figure out how much it's going to cost, whatever overhead you have, all of these things. And if you work for a company, you get an annual performance review. You know what else you also get? A job description. And many people go into marriages on a wing and a prayer, thinking that we'll figure it out when we get there. And that's like planning for a trip up Mount Everest without having the proper gear. Now, you may go, Leslie, you're just being ridiculous. Relationships are natural and we'll just figure it out. That's how you end up divorced. Now, I'm not saying that all marriages can be saved. I'm not saying that all marriages should be saved. But a greater portion of them could be saved if couples actually sat down and talked about things. I was just talking with a couple who's planning on getting married in September, and they want to learn how to start out on the right foot. And I'm like going, yay, confetti all around. Because most of the time, when I would be asked if I did premarital work, I go, yes, with anybody willing to do it. But people are afraid. I actually had one person say to me, well, I don't want to do premarital work because they might tell me we shouldn't get married. Well, first off, that's not the professional's job. But second off, if you're already having those thoughts, maybe you should reconsider getting married. Marriage is not a panacea. It's not a goal in and of itself. It is a very specific relationship. It's kind of like the pro league of all relationships, right? Because most relationships don't last. And you're getting into this one that for most of us, we want it to last, except we don't see it, right? Rom-coms, how the two get together, black hole of marriage. Then we get to the divorce movies. We don't see what's going on. We think there's nothing we can learn, right? It's like, and please, let's not get on the idea that women are better at relationships. That's like saying every tall person is good at basketball. It's not true. But there are skills that you can learn. There are things that you can talk about. You need to talk about your expectations. You need to talk about your ideas of what a spouse actually is. You have to talk about how you're going to manage your money. You have to have goals. What do you want your marriage to look like? How often do you want to be intimate? Do you want children? Where do you want to live? How do you want to live? All of these things. And the truth of the matter is, you and your partner are going to disagree about things. Not a bad thing. It's a given. But if you don't have an effective way of working through those differences, then you're going to have a problem. And having a plan is one of the ways that can help you. Because if you talk about these things beforehand, then every decision that you make can be bounced off against that plan. Does it support the plan? Or is it something completely different? And by the way, your plan doesn't have to be cast in stone. It's not that you figure out on day one that this is what our marriage is going to look like year 20, right? Things will happen, things will change, but you'll at least have a founding document or founding set of principles that work. Because one of the things is that you want your marriage to align with your values. And so many people jettison their values. They jettison what's important to them because they don't know how to talk about it. Their partner doesn't initially agree with them. Um, these things that they don't know how to handle. And so they end up not talking about them, shoving in the closet, hoping that they'll go away. And guess what? They are not going to. They are going to rear their ugly heads. And without the skill set to effectively deal with them, it's going to make it harder to be successful. So I know that people go, I mean, and the we don't talk about this. If we have kids and we have problems or challenges with our kids, we go to our neighbors, we go to our friends, we talk to our pediatricians. Marriage gets stuck behind this impermeable wall and nobody knows what's going on, and it suffers, and it doesn't have to. So if there's any aspect of your marriage that is causing challenges for you, I invite you to take action. I invite you to learn what you can learn. This is what I do. I invite you to get in touch with me, and we'll talk about it. We'll figure it out. We'll come up with a plan. Because when you have a plan, it makes success that much easier. So give me a call, or put a message down below, or send me an email at leslie@foundationscoachingnc.com, or find another professional to talk with. But don't put the most important relationship that you will ever have up to luck. Okay? So please subscribe to this to my channel, to the YouTube channel. Please send me a message. I'd love to know your thoughts. What's your biggest challenge? And until next week, stay loving.